If you are over 60, you have probably started noticing subtle, perhaps unwelcome, changes in your physical capabilities. Maybe the jar lids are getting tighter, or the simple act of pushing yourself up from a comfortable armchair feels just a little harder than it used to. This isn't just aging, this is the slow erosion of functional strength, and it is the primary factor that dictates whether you live independently or rely on assistance later in life. We often focus on cardio or flexibility, but the real secret to graceful, independent longevity lies in maintaining strength, specifically the ability to push and to stabilize. The good news is that reversing this trend, or at least stopping it in its tracks, does not require a gym membership or heavy weights. Today, I'm going to introduce you to one profoundly simple movement that takes less than 5 minutes, can be done in your pajamas, and is the absolute cornerstone of rebuilding essential pushing strength and posture. This isn't just a stretch, it is a foundational strength builder that we are going to integrate into your morning routine starting tomorrow. Get ready to feel stronger, stand taller, and reclaim control over your physical world. This is the simplest, most effective strength habit you can adopt today. Before we dive deep into the mechanics of this game-changing exercise, I want to invite you to join our growing community. We focus specifically on actionable, safe, and effective strategies for thriving in your 60s, 70s, and beyond. Hitting the like button and subscribing tells the algorithm that this vital information is helping real people, and it ensures you never miss out on the strategies that keep us strong and independent. Take a moment right now, hit subscribe, and let's commit to this journey together.
The stakes here are incredibly high, and they go far beyond mere vanity. We are talking about functional independence. When strength declines, we enter a period of vulnerability. Let's talk frankly about two major risks we face as we age: the risk of catastrophic injury due to a fall, and the insidious creep of sarcopenia, which is the age-related loss of muscle mass and function. Imagine a fall. Your ability to catch yourself, to brace your impact, or to push yourself up off the floor relies almost entirely on immediate, explosive pushing strength in your upper body and core. If you can't generate that force quickly, the results can be devastating and life-altering. Secondly, consider the daily tasks that define your freedom: opening the refrigerator door, carrying groceries, pushing a heavy door open, or moving furniture. These are all push movements. As the muscle fibers responsible for these actions, primarily your fast-twitch type 2 fibers, begin to atrophy, your functional threshold decreases. This means that everyday tasks begin to consume a larger percentage of your maximum effort, leading to fatigue, avoidance of activity, and a rapid negative feedback loop that accelerates decline. If you struggle to push your own body weight up, you are sacrificing your insurance policy against frailty. We must rebuild this foundational strength, and we must do it now, before the functional threshold drops too low, making recovery significantly harder. This simple morning addition is your crucial defense against dependency.
Our focus today is on rebuilding the fundamental pushing pattern in a manner that is entirely safe, adaptable, and focused on joint alignment and stabilization. We are targeting the muscles that govern posture and protect the shoulder joint, which is notorious for age-related injuries. The movement is the standing wall press, sometimes called the wall push-up, but we are going to treat it with a level of intentionality and detail you have likely never encountered before. Phase 1. Redefining the push. Intentional movement for independence. First, let us understand the profound biomechanical deficit we are correcting. When we become sedentary, we often adopt a slumped posture, rounded shoulders, kyphosis, a forward head position, and an internal rotation of the arms. This posture doesn't just look poor, it actively tightens the chest and anterior shoulder muscles, pectorals, while simultaneously weakening the crucial muscles of the posterior chain, the rhomboids, mid-trapezius, and most importantly, the serratus anterior. The wall press, when performed correctly, is not merely a chest exercise, it is a holistic posture recalibrator, forcing the body to engage in a perfect straight-line plank, which is the foundational strength position for all human movement. The necessity of functional pushing strength in later life. Why is pushing so critical? It is your body's primary mechanism for creating space and distance between you and a hazard. Think about catching yourself during a slip, quickly pushing a grocery cart that has started to roll away, or the sustained effort needed to walk with a cane or walker for extended periods. These actions rely on the ability to stabilize and generate force through the shoulder and arm. By rebuilding this capacity safely against the wall, we are installing an essential insurance policy against frailty and accident. Phase 2. Setting up the foundation. Precision in placement.
Find a sturdy, vertical wall. Ensure there are no unstable objects or pictures that could shift. Place your hands flat on the wall, roughly shoulder-width apart, perhaps slightly wider if that feels more comfortable for your shoulders. The height of your hand should be roughly in line with your sternum or slightly lower, depending on comfort. Never place them higher than your shoulders, as this compromises the joint integrity. Determining your starting angle. Step your feet back until your body forms a sturdy, straight line from the crown of your head down to your heels. This angle dictates the resistance. The further your feet are from the wall, the steeper the angle, and thus the harder the exercise becomes. For your very first attempt, start conservatively. Aim for a 45-degree slope, an angle that allows you to easily perform 15 repetitions with impeccable form without the feeling of total fatigue. Remember, we are prioritizing perfect form and muscle activation over brute force. The crucial role of hand position and joint protection. 90% of wall press errors begin with improper hand engagement, which leads directly to shoulder pain. Your hands must be placed so that your wrists are neutral, flat against the wall, avoiding any sharp bending up or down. Distribute the pressure evenly across the entire palm, paying special attention to the base of the index finger and thumb, not just the heel of the hand, to protect the delicate wrist joint.
The screw the hands cue, external rotation mastery. Here is the single most important cue for shoulder health in this movement. Imagine you are trying to turn your hands outward, as if you are screwing them into the wall, clockwise for the right hand, counterclockwise for the left. You won't actually move your hands, as they are fixed to the wall. However, the subtle rotational torque this action generates engages the rotator cuff muscles, specifically the infraspinatus and teres minor. This externally rotates the shoulder joint just enough to optimally position the humerus in the shoulder socket, opening up the subacromial space. This minor adjustment prevents the shoulder impingement, a painful pinching sensation that often occurs when the elbows flare out and the shoulders cave internally. By screwing the hands, you ensure the movement originates safely and maintains joint integrity throughout the entire range of motion. Phase 3. The mechanics of perfection. Core and scapular stabilization. Before you initiate the movement, you must create a rigid platform, the plank. This is where the wall press transitions from a simple arm exercise into a full-body functional movement. Deep core bracing. You must consciously draw your navel slightly toward your spine. This is the subtle core bracing, known as drawing in, that prevents your lower back from sagging, lumbar extension, and protects your lumbar spine. Think of your body as a single, rigid plank of wood. Engage your glutes slightly, almost as if you were gently tucking your pelvis. If you allow your hips to pike, forming an A shape, or your back to arch, you are losing the stability that makes this exercise beneficial. The core leads the push, maintaining the straight line. If you cannot maintain this rigid plank, you must immediately reduce the angle, move your feet closer to the wall.
The shoulder position, setting the scapula. Before descent, ensure your shoulders are set, pulled down and back, away from your ears. Do not allow your neck to sink into your shoulders. Maintaining this distance engages the upper back stabilizers, mid and lower traps, setting the stage for proper scapular movement. This pre-engagement prevents the common error of shrugging the shoulders toward the ears during the push, which leads to neck tension and ineffective chest engagement. Phase 4. The movement, descent, ascent, and Serratus Anterior masterclass. The descent, controlled and intentional, eccentric phase. Begin the descent by bending your elbows slowly. Remember the screw the hands cue to keep the shoulders externally rotated. Do not let your elbows fly straight out to the sides, which stresses the shoulders unnecessarily. Instead, guide them back and slightly down, aiming for a 45-degree angle relative to your torso. This 45-degree elbow tuck maximizes pectoral and triceps involvement while protecting the shoulder capsule. Inhale deeply during this phase. This deep diaphragmatic inhalation helps activate the deep core stabilizers and prepares the body for the effort of the push. Take a full 2 to 3 seconds to descend, controlling the movement against gravity.
The eccentric phase, lowering, is arguably the most critical for building strength and creating muscle damage, the good kind that leads to rebuilding. Stop the descent when your nose is about an inch from the wall or when your elbows reach the point where your perfect form starts to break. Do not rush through this phase. The ascent, the power of protraction, concentric phase.
This is the phase that differentiates a therapeutic, posture-correcting exercise from a generic push-up. As you begin to push away from the wall, exhale powerfully. Use the breath to reinforce your core engagement. The Valsalva maneuver, only subtly performed, helps stabilize the spine. Focus on driving the movement from your chest and triceps. Deep dive, the serratus anterior and scapular control. This muscle, often called the boxer's muscle, is the linchpin of upper body functional health. It wraps around the side of your rib cage and attaches to the underside of your shoulder blade. Its primary job is protraction, pushing the shoulder blade forward and keeping it flat against your ribs. If the serratus anterior is weak, the shoulder blade pulls away from the rib cage, causing a visible winged scapula, leading to instability, chronic shoulder pain, and a very high risk of rotator cuff issues. As you reach the top of the press, once your elbows are straight but not locked, you must consciously perform the final, crucial step, protraction. Actively focus on pushing the wall away from you, rather than just pushing your body away from the wall. This final effort will create a distinct sensation of your shoulder blades wrapping around your rib cage, widening your upper back and subtly rounding your thoracic spine, just at the top, without losing core plank. Hold this protraction, feeling the serratus anterior burn. This deliberate final push is the key to strengthening this vital muscle and locking in proper tall posture. Phase 5. Tempo, tension, and breath synchronization. To maximize the recruitment of those crucial fast-twitch type 2 muscle fibers, the ones most susceptible to age-related atrophy, we need to prioritize time under tension and eliminate momentum. Simply rocking back and forth quickly accomplishes very little.
The optimal tempo strategy. We recommend a specific rhythm, a 2 to 3 second lowering phase, eccentric, a brief 1 second pause at the bottom to eliminate momentum and increase muscle activation, and a 2 second lifting phase, concentric, followed by a 1 second hold and protraction at the top. This structure means each repetition takes approximately 6 to 7 seconds, ensuring maximum muscle fiber engagement without joint strain. Rhythm and repetition structure. Start by performing 3 sets of 10 to 12 repetitions, always stopping 2 reps short of total muscle failure. This strategy, training to reps in reserve, RIR, ensures safety, allows for optimal recovery, and maintains quality of form throughout the entire session. Consistency trumps intensity, especially when starting out. You are not training to be a bodybuilder. You are training for functional longevity, which demands deliberate, sustained effort. Integrating breathwork, pranayama principles. Synchronizing breath with movement significantly enhances core stability and reduces intra-abdominal pressure fluctuations. Always inhale during the easy, lowering phase, descent, and powerfully exhale during the hardest, pushing phase, ascent or protraction. This simple coordination helps you harness internal strength and protects the spine from compression. Phase 6, progressive overload and lifelong adaptation. Sustainable strength training requires a plan for consistent, safe challenge. Once you can comfortably complete 3 sets of 15 repetitions with absolutely perfect form and the correct serratus protraction at your starting angle, it is time to progress.
Progression Pathway 1. Adjusting the angle, the primary method. The most straightforward way to progress is to decrease the angle, or in other words, move your feet further away from the wall. Even moving your feet 6 inches back significantly increases the percentage of your body weight you are pressing, thus increasing the load on your chest, arms, and core. Keep logging your angle and feet position so you can see your measurable strength improvements. Progression Pathway 2. Increase time under tension. Instead of moving your feet back immediately, try increasing the time of the eccentric phase. Change the tempo from 2 seconds down to 4 or even 5 seconds down, keeping the concentric push at 2 seconds. This dramatically increases muscle stress and growth potential without changing the movement pattern or joint stress. Progression Pathway 3. Transition to incline. When the wall press becomes too easy, transition to the incline push-up, using a sturdy, fixed surface like a heavy kitchen counter, a weight bench, or a stable table. This provides a greater angle of resistance while still maintaining the safety and postural feedback of an elevated surface.
The principles of the plank, the core bracing, and the serratus protraction remain identical regardless of the surface. Regression and modification, adaptability for all levels. If the standard wall press is currently too challenging, or if you are managing significant joint pain or frailty, the exercise can be regressed safely. 1. High angle regression, closer to the wall. Simply move your feet closer to the wall until the slope is nearly vertical, 90 degrees. You are now pressing a minimal percentage of your body weight, allowing you to focus purely on the core plank and the serratus protraction without stressing the joints. This is an excellent starting point for rebuilding neuromuscular connections.
2. Seated resistance, for balance issues. If standing stability is a major concern, you can perform the press seated upright in a sturdy chair, using light resistance bands wrapped around your back and held in your hands, pressing forward against the band tension. While this removes the core plank element, it isolates the essential pushing muscles. 3. Tabletop press. If the wall angle is still too stressful, use a sturdy desk or dining table. Place your hands on the table edge and perform the plank standing upright, nearly vertical. This ensures the surface is at waist level or higher, minimizing strain while still allowing full range of motion. Phase 7. Troubleshooting common errors and integrating functional health. Addressing specific senior concerns. 1. Wrist pain. If your wrists hurt, re-examine hand distribution. Ensure the pressure is distributed across the entire palm, not just the heel of the hand. You may need to use a thick towel or a small wedge, like a book, placed under the heel of your hand to slightly reduce the angle of wrist extension for temporary relief. Over time, consistent training strengthens the forearm and hand stabilizers. 2. Shoulder clicking or pain. This is the most common flag for improper form and almost always indicates inadequate scapular control or excessive elbow flaring. Immediately reduce the angle, move feet closer, and return to the screw the hands cue. Consciously keep your shoulders down and back, away from your ears, throughout the entire range of motion. If clicking persists, consult a physical therapist, as it may indicate rotator cuff tendinitis or a pre-existing impingement that needs specific prehabilitation. 3. Hip sagging or lower back pain. If your lower back arches or your hips dip, it means your core and glutes are disengaged. Reduce the angle immediately. Before initiating any movement, intentionally squeeze your glutes as if holding a dollar bill between your cheeks, and brace your abs. The core and glutes must lock the plank before the arms are allowed to move. The stability of your torso must be ironclad. The wall press and fall prevention. How does this relate to balance? The wall press builds dynamic stability. When you stumble, your body initiates a rapid bracing sequence, an isometric push, to absorb the shock and stabilize the core. By training the serratus anterior and the chest stabilizers in a controlled environment, you are enhancing the reflexive strength necessary to react instantly during a sudden loss of balance. It builds the capacity to catch yourself before a slip becomes a fall. Improved breathing capacity. Rounded, forward slumped posture compresses the diaphragm and lungs, hindering full respiratory capacity. By strengthening the pushing muscles and the serratus anterior, we are actively pulling the shoulder blades back and stabilizing the thoracic spine in an upright position. This expansion of the chest cavity allows for deeper, more efficient breathing, which improves oxygen exchange, reduces fatigue, and positively impacts everything from cardiovascular health to cognitive function. Phase 8. The long game. Consistency and mindful execution. Integrating the habit. Habit stacking. The greatest exercise in the world is useless if you don't do it. This must become a non-negotiable part of your routine. The most successful way to stick with this is to link it to an existing habit. For example, after the first cup of coffee is brewed, but before I sit down to check the news, I will complete my wall press sets. Choose a wall near a high-traffic area, like your kitchen or bedroom door, to serve as a constant visual cue.
Mindful movement. Strength training for seniors should never be mindless. During every repetition, concentrate on the muscle you are intending to work. This is called the mind-muscle connection. When pushing, focus on the chest and triceps. When stabilizing, focus on the core and glutes. At the top of the push, feel the serratus anterior wrapping around your ribs. This intentional focus increases muscle activation by up to 30%, maximizing the benefit of every second you spend performing the exercise. Listening to your body. While consistency is key, intelligent adjustment is vital. If a joint feels stiff or painful on a given day, perhaps due to arthritis flare-up or insufficient sleep, it is smart to regress the movement. Move your feet closer to the wall or reduce the number of repetitions.
We train for longevity, not for pain. Never push through sharp, acute joint pain. Understand the difference between muscle fatigue, a desired burn, and joint stress, a sharp, unwelcome sensation. The wall press is not just an exercise, it is a diagnostic tool. If you notice your form breaking down mid-set, perhaps your core sags on the 8th repetition, that is your body signaling your current functional limit. Respect that limit, stop the set, and maintain perfect form for the subsequent sets. By consistently maintaining impeccable form and gradually challenging yourself through angle adjustments, you will not only rebuild pushing strength, but fundamentally restructure your posture, ensuring joint health, core resilience, and enduring independence for the decades ahead. This 5-minute investment is the most potent anti-frailty measure you can adopt today.